On Secrets of Product Development. I am Archana Ramesh from Acta Systems and I will be your host for today's session. This webinar is conducted by Acta Systems along with Vantage Software. The speakers of this session are Gregory Wolf, founder and CEO of Vantage Software, and Ilanko Kalankaraji from Acta Systems. He is the delivery manager. To give a quick introduction about Acta Systems, we are an IT services company working with over 100 plus ISVs and enterprises across the globe. As you can see below, there are some of the, so these are some of the awards we won in the recent years. And Vantage Software, about Vantage Software, founded in 1999, Vantage is a software provider that delivers customizable software solutions to private equity firms and financial institutions. Kindly use the GoToMeeting chat window to ask your questions during the webinar. So now I will have Greg take over.
Okay, Archana, thank you for the introduction and for having me here today. My name is Greg Wolf, and as you can tell, I am the CEO and founder of Vantage Software. So just a little bit about our software and our industry. So that I started the business in 1999. Vantage falls under the space of financial services software. We're based in Boston, USA, and we have a 10-year outsourced development relationship with Aspire Systems, which has been a very successful relationship. Our focus is exclusively on the alternatives investment industry, and I'll give you a little bit more color on that in a minute. And essentially, we provide products for our clients who are global investment managers and different tools for their workflow. Our clients manage altogether more than $500 billion. So some pretty significant firms that we work with, and we've had to keep our products updated and evolve our products as this industry has rapidly evolved and the entire asset class has matured. So one of the things I'd like to highlight is the latest product that we've developed and are offering to the market in conjunction with, developed in conjunction with Aspire, obviously, but offering to the market is what we call our Vantage Insight product. And this is a big data warehouse analysis and performance tool, which is well regarded as a leading product in the market. So we're pretty excited about the progress we've made so far. Thanks, Archana. Next slide. Okay, so the industry, we're a financial services technology company, and the alternative space, essentially the financial services market can be broken down broadly into three main segments: banking, insurance, and investment managers. And our clients, under investment managers, there's the traditional investment management, which is typically mutual fund or unit trust investors, and then public market trading. And then there's the world of alternative investments. The alternative investment space is our space, and the focus of managers in that space are they're looking for different types of returns called alpha, but superior return to the public markets by looking at different kind of investments. And typically the managers in that space are private equity managers, hedge fund managers, real estate managers, natural resource managers, investment managers, so those kinds of firms. Our clients include some pretty well-known firms like Bain Capital, where most people are familiar with that firm based on Mitt Romney's unsuccessful run for president last year, and some other pretty significant firms like Hamilton Lane. And in the private equity space, that can be further broken down into different types of strategies within that space. I think most people are familiar with the venture capital space, which involves the managers are investing in early stage companies with the hope of investing in high growth companies like the Googles and Facebooks and Yahoos and all the kind of the budding technologies, biotech firms, or what's typically known as buyout firms, where our clients would go out and either invest in later stage companies that are already significant businesses, with the objective of turning those companies around, improving those companies, putting in different management, maybe creating a platform of combining, consolidating a number of different players in an industry to create a more powerful entity that could have more of a dominating presence in the market, or possibly taking companies private. That's a fairly frequent strategy. Our clients often look at public companies, feel that they're undervalued. They go out and they buy them for billions of dollars. They take them private, do the same kind of improvements, and then grow them back and take them public again. The typical investment horizon in our space is around 5 to 10 years, and our clients are generally targeting at least a 20% annualized return to their investors. So it's a very lucrative space, but also a risky space, and hence that's why it's called the alternative investment space. Okay. So Vantage, let's see, we started out, we currently offer 4 main products for this space. We have a product which deals with and they're financial and operations management software products for alternative investment managers. So one of our products is the Vantage Deal Manager, and the focus of this product is to help investment managers with their deal flow management. So they're soliciting business plans from companies who are either raising money, venture capital companies, or possibly doing research on public companies for the purpose of taking them private. And our clients will have a very extensive diligence process and communication process to identify opportunities. A typical funnel would be our clients looking at possibly 1,000 business plans in a year, meeting with 100 companies and maybe investing in 10. So there's a very rigorous process of being able to go and find the right kind of opportunities that for which our clients are looking for. Another workflow, we have a product which is a fund accounting product for investment accounting. So once they've made a decision to invest in those products, the ability to track valuation and changes and the actual cash flow accounting into and out of those investments. On the other side of the house, our clients are typically organized as funds, and they typically raise capital from high net worth individuals or institutional investors. And there's a whole lot of governance by the SEC around what type of investors and what kind of reporting they need to provide. So we have another product called Vantage Investor, which is designed on the workflow of essentially helping our clients manage the communication to prospective investors, onboarding those investors into a fund, managing the investors' capital, providing statements, kind of like bank or investment statements to their clients, their investors, and then in turn managing the cash flows to and from their investors. That's the Vantage Investor product. So those are the 3 kind of silos of data within an alternative investment firm, either looking at the investments, pre-investment for managing the research in the pipeline, keeping track of the data once investments have been made, investment accounting, and keeping track of the data for investor accounting. Our most recent product and our most exciting product is the Insight product. And what we did was we identified a need in the market to provide better analytics and reporting using more advanced technology, essentially data warehousing technology. And that is this Vantage Insight product that we've built. We've had in the market for a couple of years. It's been received very favorably, and it's a general kind of evolution of the market in terms of most of our clients have one or more of our modules or possibly third-party competing modules, but the ability to bring all that data into a centralized repository for consolidated reporting and analysis was an acute need in the market, and we've met that through our Insight product. The other capabilities of the product is providing more of a self-service capability to their investors. As the world is moving towards online banking, online investment management, the Fidelity and Schwab Online type of experience, so too is the client base, the institutional investor base in the alternative investment space, looking to be able to go in and online self-service access their account information, drill down into transactions, run analyses across different sectors and industries, identifying the exposure of the manager to underlying assets or underlying sectors, regions, etc. So providing that interactive online experience, as the world has moved to more of a self-service model, has been a core capability of the Insight product. And then lastly, the alternative investment industry uses some very specific performance metrics to measure a manager's capability on a year-on-year basis while they're making investment decisions as to whether to stay with a manager or put more money in with one manager or move money from one manager to another. So what we did was embedded a very powerful performance calculation engine into the inside product, which provide that kind of analysis for the end users of the system. Okay, next slide, please. So the relationship with Aspire has been a very positive relationship for us. The company's been around since 1999, and right about the 2002 timeframe, we looked at outsourcing our development as an option to grow our business. And the main reasons what we were looking for was we were looking for a firm that would be flexible enough to work with us as we were defining the product set required and the functional requirements and the capabilities for the space. Initially, our business model was based on highly custom software. This is actually the alternative investment space. Being an alternative to the traditional investment space is fairly new. And really, over the last 10 years, we've seen significant evolution. But 10, 15 years ago, most of the businesses were running essentially on either in-house homegrown applications or predominantly on spreadsheets using Excel. So our initial opportunity was to create custom software which could start to automate some of those reports and data capturing and performance calculations that the market was looking for. And it was very important for us to use a partner like Aspire who could evolve with us as our market matured and the product needs became more sophisticated, and so in turn our products matured in relation to that. So our model started out as a very highly customized, individual, bespoke, one-off solution, client by client, which is fairly difficult to maintain. And then as the market matured, so we were able to put in what we called a framework, a functional framework for the products, essentially reusing code and reusing a base library as a kind of a launching pad to do each new implementation. And then as in the last few years, certainly the market has changed significantly to move much further over towards productized, configurable versus customizable solution offered to our clients on a hosted or SaaS basis. And I'm pleased to say that Aspire has been able to keep up with the change and flexibility of our business as our business has changed over the years to be able to provide the right kind of skill sets and knowledge that we could step into that next level of software evolution and have the right team provide us the technical capabilities that we were looking for. Over the years, we've had over 70, 75 people work on our account. And our model has been always we've had a dedicated core team of people at Aspire. And that we view those as our virtual employees. Even though they are members of Aspire, we view them as our core team. And they're dedicated to us, and we have our set roles and relationships that we manage. But more importantly, we've also had the ability to add resources when we've needed. So certainly our business is seasonal. Given that we're in the financial services space, typically our clients get very busy at year end, which means that we get less busy. And then during the summer, our clients get, they have more time for special projects, and typically new systems implementations falls into that. So we have a kind of an offset seasonality to our business model. So being able to add people on demand as needed has been a very important capability, and helped us with our scalability that Aspire has provided. One of the key things that we found over the years is having an on-site coordinator in our USA offices to work with the offshore team. That's been a key element to this relationship. And I'll talk a little bit more in the next slide about some of the things that we've learned. But this is a win-win opportunity. It gives an opportunity for someone on the offshore team to spend time in the USA and get more acclimated to our business culture and to get more knowledge around our domain. It also gives us a clearer understanding of the capabilities of the team and a better communication. And then lastly, because Aspire has grown so significantly and had such phenomenal successes in building out their depth, their bench strength, and people that they have available for us, we have certainly tapped into over and above our core team on a kind of a case-by-case basis, tapped into other resources that Aspire has offered. One of them is the Advanced Technology Group, which we've used significantly in terms of building the architecture for our data warehousing tool and some of the more advanced capabilities and performance calculation features that we've added, which are all in the latest version of the available technology. So having those people available has been key. We've also used the UI team extensively in terms of coming up with product design. So to finish off, this is my last slide, just to summarize, the benefits of a relationship, outsourcing pros and cons, are the scalability during growth periods, being able to add people where needed, allowing my team and myself as business managers to focus on our business, growing our business, and reducing significantly the amount of effort we've had to put into recruiting and managing folks, because Aspire essentially takes care of that for us. Offloading the technical requirements onto Aspire, and that's kind of a leap of faith, because we certainly had a development team in the USA, which we've really slimmed down to a very small team at this point. So the majority of our development is through our offshore team. So having the confidence in a partner, being able to say, you guys handle the technology, let us focus on the business and the domain expertise, because that's what our value add is. Deep bench of resources, I already mentioned that. And also learning from other clients. We often run into a situation where, if we had our own dedicated team in the USA, their experience would be purely Vantage. But running into other, we've often run into situations where we've tapped into Aspire's other client experience and asked around, has anybody else and other Aspire projects run into these kind of issues and suggestions, and we've often gotten good feedback through that. So I think having a partner who's got a broader sense of what's going on in the market is an advantage. And then lastly, the timing is a double-edged sword, and then it kind of goes into the challenges and risks as well. Given that it's a 9.5 or 10.5 hour time difference between the East Coast in the USA and in India, that can be used to your advantage and also your disadvantage. So the advantageous part about that is being able to provide requirements. Let's say we're doing an implementation, and if we can define any changes or requirements, by the end of the day, U.S. time, we can hand that over to the team, and they can work on it during the night, and we can have that available for our clients first thing the next morning, which wows them, which is wonderful. Going on to the challenge side of things, the same challenge maintains in terms of, if we're unable to communicate properly, then the offshore team isn't always available when our onshore clients, our U.S. clients, require that. So managing the time difference and the language communication barrier, I think those are, managing communication with an outsourced team is challenging. Managing communication with an outsourced offshore team in a 10.5 hour time zone is challenging, and that's probably the biggest challenge we've faced. That risk is greatly mitigated by the on-site resource. Having an Aspire person locally in the USA provides that first line of support, and also helps us manage the communication with the offshore team and the delegation of activities to resources. Other challenges are educating the offshore team in domain expertise. I think that happens regardless of whether it's an onshore or offshore team. Obviously, if you have face-to-face time, it's easier to explain some of the nuances of our business and our client's business to a team. Doing that remotely, once again, requires an offshore resource to get a full understanding and mitigate that. And then, of course, once you're outsourcing, you're letting go of the technical development, making sure that the appropriate standards are in place for quality and stand control of the standards and the maintenance of the quality is really critical. And then lastly, I think just the risks around that in terms of not maintaining the proper communication can be inefficient. Having our product knowledge go out to an offshore team, there is a risk there, although we've always had complete faith and trust in the folks at Aspire. And then the inability without the on-site resource to provide the time zone support in the U.S. time zone can be a challenge, but we've managed to overcome those over the last 10 years. So that's it, Ashwana. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Greg. So let's hear it from Ilango now about the secrets behind such a successful product development. Ilango, please take it.
Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning, and I'd like to thank Greg for giving a wonderful presentation about the Vantage software, its products, and also how Aspire is helping him grow. And so what's the secret behind software companies like Vantage Reporting and other people, when they outsource to Aspire, how do we help the product companies to achieve their business, their growth, and their market penetration and things like that, and how do we solve some of the challenges, the risks, and some of the benefits already you have seen there. So these are something that you come across from every customer who like to outsource their product development or offshoring it. So what we have done is through various experiences and getting the feedbacks from different ISVs over the period of the year, like last 10 years or so. So we came across with a framework, basically a methodology defined, that is called the Producteering. That's the methodology that we use to develop products. And so these methodologies are nothing but principles, platforms, practices, and people. So each of those are basically I'll dig into the details. So these are some of the things that we use to address some of the challenges that Craig has mentioned. So I'll jump into the next slide, starting with principles, right? So principles is going to be one of the key in developing a product. For example, the product companies definitely have challenges with the time, budget, and scope. So how do you recognize these variables, and how do you manage these variables, and how do you put that across to the development team so that they have those things in mind when they're actually developing the product, so that your time, budget, and scope is always being met. So principles like that has been educated with the development team. And the other principle is the minimal viable product. So basically it is nothing but no company want to start in today's market a big bang approach. They want to have a 100-page software requirement or a 200-page thing, get started and deliver it after 6 months or after 1 year of the big bang approach. Rather, what we suggest is take the minimum viable product route, where you define your minimal requirement that you need to take it to the market first, get the feedbacks and from the market, and address those feedbacks and take it into this cycle. So this minimal viable product could be applicable for anything, whether you have a startup where you have new ideas, you want to start a new product, or you have an existing product and you want to penetrate the new market and you like to get some of the ideas developed as a new product and take it to the market, or your product is declining and you like to bring in some new variations and you really don't have an idea. So use this minimal viable product principle to address those things. So that's another thing. And the third one is collaborate extensively with business users. Obviously, the team which is developing the product needs to have a collaboration with the business users very frequently to get the feedbacks immediately, so that they can keep working on it as they start delivering the software. And the other thing is deliver working software frequently. Again, this probably goes with the minimal viable product. So basically, you deliver the working softwares in a shorter cycle, so that the business users or the end users or the stakeholders get the working products. Because today, unless you see the working product and you put into operation, you'll not know whether the product is going to be a success. So you better release the working software very frequently. And also what we have seen is while we're developing a product, we run into a lot of challenges. So one thing is it could be the quality of the the technology itself, or it could be the process which is driving your requirements, or managing your requirements, or managing releases and things like that. So what we have done is at Aspire, as part of this Producteering methodology, we have come up with a new framework basically to address the technical quality issues. It is something called Technical Health Index. If you see from an industry perspective, we have a lot of certifications and process-oriented standards which takes care of the processes, like an ISO or a CMM level 5 or other standards being used with different companies. But they are more focused towards the processes, more about the documentations and things like that. But we don't have a certification or some standards that really you can measure the quality of your product from a technical perspective. So when I mean technical, it could be a code quality, it could be a your architecture quality, it could be your testing quality, or it could be your deployment itself. So technical health index is basically is defined as a framework which measures the quality of the product. And then moving on to the next slide. Okay, so practices. Okay, so again, like the next thing is very important thing in a product development stage is the practices. So the practices, it could be the good engineering practices, it could be the practices with the architecture standards, it could be on the the user experience re-engineering. For example, let's take the architectural standards. So we really need to have different practices followed for different kinds of products, because a product could be purely on a domain based, or it could be purely driven by plugging into different commercial products as a product. So you need to apply different architecture standards for them. For example, you cannot define a particular let's say a SOA architecture, and then you cannot apply that to when you're trying to integrate with COTS product and trying to build a product. And other thing is you cannot have again a SOA based for if you really don't know what the specific domain is. It could be, for example, education, retail. So you need to have the architecture practices so that addresses the need of the product, rather than having a technology and then trying to fit in your business requirement. So that's one practice. And then customer experience engineering, where UX engineering is actually today is actually going to give you the first-hand feel of your product. If you don't have a good user experience built into your product, and then your users are not going to really like it. So you better have a good experience engineering built into your product. When I mean experience engineering, it's not just the look and feel of the product, basically the colors, themes, and all those things, but also need to know whether the user can get for example, let's say he wants to look out for a particular report, or he wants to look out for a particular data where let's say like user want to see like what are the best-selling products. So typically what happens today, you have the reporting tools, you need to do a lot of search, and you need to do a lot of filtering. So what happens is if you really help him with a a search-based tool, so that it gives him better experience, so he can search what he needs. So probably he can search give me the lowest product a particular category, a camera, or even get me which are the standards that is being used across schools, or it could be anything like what is the best selling product today, and things like that. So you give him a text-based search so that he can directly fit in that and get the result, rather than allowing him to do a search query and then asking him to filter and things like that. So experience that actually makes a lot of difference today's product development. And then moving on to some of the other practices like testing. Obviously, testing is one of the key thing that a product needs to undergo. So testing, again, normally what happens is you try to test the product once the team gives you a release, rather than you start doing the testing like from the early stage itself, right? You give a working version today, and then you start testing tomorrow, rather than waiting for till the end of the beta release or alpha release. That's what we call it as, and then doing a testing, and then you give back the entire feedbacks back to the development team. So things like that is going to be time consuming, and also it's going to be very expensive when you try to control the time and cost. So I'll move on to the next one, which is the platforms. People. Okay, so again, people is definitely an important aspect for building a product. Basically, you need to have the right producteering team required to build a product, and you cannot build a product with just one developer, or with just one UI person, or with just the product manager. So you need to have the team. So the team that is mentioned here is actually required to build any good product. As Craig mentioned, you really need to have the UA engineer to give you the user experience, so that he can think from the user perspective and give input. And then you also need to have some architects, so that like we have the advanced technology group, who is a team comprising of architects and technical solutions, so that they also need to come in and give in the technical inputs, or they also like to have the innovation built into the product from a technology perspective, and also also need to have a development manager, which is basically the on-site coordinator who can, facilitate the communication and interaction between the development team, between the product managers, between the user groups, and things like that. So basically, you need to have the right team. And how do we build that team with Aspire, right? So we have something called, we certify each and every product here. So it could be right from a college graduate who goes through an intensive, real outcome-based impact training. That's what we call it as. So basically, they have been put into the task of, giving some real-time projects before they actually move into, developing the products for customers. And then we also select, the best from the industry. So basically, our hiring ratio has been 1 out of 100. And then once they come into Aspire, we actually give them again the training on the producteering, like what is the best practices and things like that. And we also have a strong performance management, basically where all the productors are being evaluated on the producteering principle practices and things like that. So with this, we actually have the right skills and the people who will be able to build better products. Okay, so third thing is platforms. Obviously, you like to have a platform as one of the key thing to accelerate your development. So when I mean platform, it's basically you like to have frameworks. So basically, which will accelerate your development time. So the frameworks could be used for a startup where they really want to build a new product, or it could be used as a reusable component to an existing product. For example, let's take and you already have a product and you like to build an analytical engine into your product, and then obviously today's approach is you try to go and pick some of the existing open source tools like a Jasper or a COTS-based tools like a MicroStrategy, and then you try to integrate that with your product. And obviously purely from the cost and time and future maintenance and deployment, it's going to be very expensive. So what we have done is, so at Aspire, we have understood all these challenges, and we have developed a lot of frameworks within here, which will help the customers either to build the product from the scratch or integrate pieces like build an analytical engine. It's basically we have built a framework. It's not a product. So this analytical engine framework will just integrate with your product and try to implement the requirement that you want. For example, we have a analytical engine framework which is a text search based, and this framework can be configured to any database, any NoSQL database, and it could be configured and it could be seamlessly integrated with any product as a standalone or as an integrated piece. So things like that will actually accelerate the development time and also give you the required requirement for a product that any customer wants. So that's how some of this framework. And also what we have is we also have Center of Excellence team, which is being powered by the Advanced Technology group. So basically, this group consists of all senior technical people and architects, and also have some technical solution people who are part of the group who actually work on the newer technologies. When I mean newer technologies, it could be a a JavaScript technology. And what this team does is they help to innovate on top of JavaScript technology. How we can use this JavaScript technology to address some of the customers' problems. Right. Recently, what we have done is one of the customer actually want to have a real-time data processing on a Google map, and you see from the old technology is actually a push technology or a pull technology. So basically, the Google Maps kinds of polls to the server and tries to get the data, and then it plots on the Google map. Whereas our team actually worked through different frameworks, they analyzed different JavaScript frameworks, and they founded something called the Node.js or the Socket.io. With the combination of these two, actually they have built a framework which actually pushes the data real time and renders dynamically on a Google map, so that if you see like for logistic companies, or even if you want to see the reporting thing or notifications, it's updated in every second rather than you pull and then you work on another in-memory database where the data is being stored. Rather, this is basically as and when the data comes, it pushes to the rendering piece and then it goes off. So at any time you'll be able to get the real-time information. So the team, advanced technology team, actually focuses on how do you bring the innovation part into the technology and how that can be applied on the customer's product to solve the problems. So that's from the technical group. And then we also have a project management tool called Prism. Basically, it's built on open source foundations, and it allows us to manage requirements, to release and support, and we also give that access to customers. So basically, this tool, has the capability whether we want to do agile development or whether we want to do iterative or whether you want to do even the MVP cycle. So this tool actually helps, to deliver the project management aspect, and it also integrated with, the Aspire's CA platform, where I'll come to the CA platform later. So where you can generate reports in the fly and see where the current status, whether it's a technical quality, whether it's a code quality, whether it's a process quality, all the reports are available at a single instance. So that's our project management tool. And then we also have a CI platform, which is a continuous integration platform that we widely use across Aspire. So basically, the CI platform consists of tools like Sonar, Endepend, and which are basically the code compliance tool. And these are on all the Aspire servers. If you see, our entire product development is actually are on these servers, and we get the build on a daily basis. And these tools look out for the the code compliance on a daily basis, because we didn't want to have another phase called code review phase after 3 months of coding effort or after 2 weeks of coding effort. Rather, we want to have the compliance to be checked then and there as and when the team commits the code to the build. So this CI platform is, again, we built this as a framework using tools like Hudson, Endepend, and things like that, and it's readily available. So any new project or any new product we develop is built on this server. And also this is integrated with something called the technical health index. So basically, once a technical health index audit happens on the project, they go through this single CI platform server, and then try to get different metrics for each project. And in some cases, we send out to the customers the metrics so that they know in real time what the quality of their code that we are building for the product is all about. Yeah, moving on to some of the producteering solutions we offer. As I told, the minimum viable product. So we call it here as the principles, but there is that's basically how do you build new products. As I told, like if you have ideas, and some customers have ideas where they have the well-defined requirements, and they know basically 100% of the requirement is known. And we also have some customers where only the 50% requirement, and how do you address that? And this minimum viable product will address both, whether you have 100% requirement or you have 50% requirement. In case you have 100% requirement, as I told you, we didn't want to build the product, having all the 100% features built into, even though the customer would like to have that, because once you have, the 100% requirement, it could be 6 months, it could be, 1 year, and by the time your requirements meeting to the current market, because you would have defined those requirements based on yesterday's market or what's going to happen in the next 6 months, whereas when your product is released and ready to be, given to the customers, it will be already 6 months old. So basically, you will never want to get in situations like that. And so basically, you need to be in sync with the market from your ideas and requirements. So for the early stage market, we always recommend to go with the minimum viable product, where you start with the minimum version of the product, you release it, get feedback, you start building on top of it. And then we have something called the product sustenance, basically for the products who are nearing the decline stage, and for them we would like to build, have some maintenance. It could be a bug fixing, and it could be doing some customization, or it could be doing some conversion and things like that. So we have a product sustenance solution, again using the producteering principles and practices, how those principles practices are customized for delivering the product sustenance. And we go on to the next one, which is the product re-engineering or modernization. Again, this is applicable for mature stage products where innovation is required. So either it could be at the UX side, or it could be bringing the newer technology, as I told you, to power the real-time data, or trying to bring in the new age search features into your product. So we have the product re-engineering modernization solution, which is again depending on the producteering principles and practices, which are specifically defined for delivering the modernization techniques. And then we have the agile product development, which basically is targeted for the growth stage products, and you also have a big customer base, and then you like to support all the customers at single instance, and there we have something called agile product development solution, which is again having all those frameworks defined. It could be practices, it could be the architectures that you might define for customizations, it could be testing for customization and things like that. So the agile product development solution addresses to these things. So these are some of the producteering solutions which we have, which addresses the different life cycle of a business. Okay, and with that, I think I'm done with the session on the producteering, and I would like to pass on the next session to Archana.
Thank you so much, Shilambu. Audience, please take a moment to vote the polls displaying on your screen.
Go ahead and ask a question. Okay. So in meantime, as we go into the polls, we have also got some questions from the audience. So we like to, start, throwing those questions. So Craig, so we have a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah. So from a ISV perspective, when you outsource your product development work to a offshore or a outsourcing partner, how do you ensure the IP production part?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. So obviously anybody who's outsourcing any part of their business and in a highly competitive proprietary kind of space has concerns about third parties getting access to their product knowledge, etc. I think the way we've gotten comfortable with that over the years has been, initially, we certainly have a pretty tight contract with Aspire, which covers our intellectual property rights. We've actually even gotten to a point where on some engagements we've had to share our clients' sensitive data with the implementation team, and some of the implementation team have been at Aspire offshore. So in those cases, we've gotten the individual members of the team to sign personal NDAs, just given the sensitivity of our clients' investment data. So we haven't had a whole lot of concern around that, and legally, I think we put the appropriate blocks in place. Another last kind of thought at the back of my mind is in terms of if we ever had to go down that path. Given that Aspire is actually a global company with a presence in the UK and the USA and other regions, I think that it gives me comfort that if we ever did run into any kind of problems, we could, we would at least be able to persecute any kind of claim from the USA. But I think that's something that's never really been a serious concern for us, given that we've had a long relationship and never found anybody to be anything but trustworthy on our team.
Okay. Okay, so there's another question for you, Craig. So basically, one of the attendees is asking, like, did you face any difficult moments during the relationship with Aspire, and how did you address that problem, on any specific problem?
That's a good question. Yeah, that reminds me of I'm coming up on my 20th wedding anniversary with my wife, and I saw a card the other day which says, it says, to my dear wife, congratulations on our 20th wedding anniversary. I'd like to thank you for the 15 best years of my life. So, I guess in any relationship, in a 10-year relationship, of course we've faced difficulties, ups and downs, And a lot of that is because we've been evolving as a business, changing our product model and our delivery model, and also Aspire has been growing and improving the way they've been doing things. And I think any partner, any relationship, you're going to face difficulties. The important thing is that we found Aspire to have a real earnest willingness to work with us. When times were good, to be able to put the resources on the accounts and deal with what we needed to. When they made mistakes, being able to admit and figure out how can we improve and not do this in future. When times were bad, we've been through a recession period with them. The flexibility to understand the position we were in and help us in terms of providing the resources we needed. So I think the flexibility of the relationship and the partnership on both sides has worked well, and we've certainly had our challenges, but we've overcome them all, and I think certainly at this point we feel that we're in a very strong position.
Okay, thanks, Greg. And there's another question for me. So basically, one of the attendees is asking, we are entering to newer markets. How can you help? Yes, again, as I told, Aspire, this producteering methodology is basically to address the newer markets. And as I told, our ATG is basically focusing on all the newer markets. They do a lot of R&D work. We have a lab which focuses specifically on the R&D side. If I want to take the recent example is the team is actually working on the some research on the wearable computing and how wearable computing can be integrated with the products. So when I mean wearable computing is, I think Google Glass is planning and it's going to be released, but we already started working on things like NFC and the smartwatch, how the smartwatch can be integrated with the mobile apps, especially in the education field, and also in some of the collaboration tools like emails and things like that. So we have a team which focuses completely on the new age market R&D.
And we have few more questions which will be addressed over email in another couple of days, all right, since we are running out of time. So I would like to thank both Ilango and Greg for their contribution to this webinar and providing us insights on how to build a successful product. All right. Also, I would like to thank all the participants who participated in this webinar, and I hope you found it informative and interesting. The PPT and other materials will be emailed to you in another 1 or 2 business days. Once again, thank you all for your participation. We'll wrap up. Thank you. Bye-bye.